Thank you. You may be seated.
May I inquire, Your Honor?
Certainly. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Can you please tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury who you're currently employed by?
The Shelton Police Department.
And how long have you been employed by the Shelton Police Department?
A few months shy of 25 years.
And what's your current title?
Right now, I'm a patrol sergeant.
And did you have to go through any training to be a police officer?
Yes, I was hired in 2000 where I went to the police academy. After graduating, I went to patrol. In 2010, I was promoted to detective, where I served in the detective bureau for 14 years until I was promoted to sergeant.
And what kind of things did you investigate? What kind of crimes did you investigate in the detective bureau?
In the detective bureau, mostly felonies, for the most part. Things a little bit beyond what patrol can handle.
I want to direct your attention to May 15th of 2022. Were you working for the Shelton Police Department on that day?
Yes,
In what capacity?
I was a detective.
And as a detective in the Shelton Police Department, are you on call 24 hours a day?
Yes.
And did you have an occasion to be called to 43 Laurel Glen on that day?
Yes.
And can you please describe the circumstances surrounding your responding to 43 Laurel Glen?
I got a call a little after midnight. I believe it was the 15th of May. I got a call a little after midnight. I was asked to respond to 43 Laurel Glen. I was told that 4 persons were stabbed, 1 potentially fatal. I did respond off duty. Upon arrival, I was briefed by the patrol sergeant of what occurred. It was a very hectic scene. There was dozens of juveniles, party attendees running around. The yard was already cordoned off with police tape. There was clothing and random items scattered across the yard. There was also patrolmen guarding the yard to make sure that area stayed secured.
Now, I want to direct your attention to States 1 that's behind you. Is that the, you see the house with the red circle on it? Is that the area that you responded to on May 15th of 2022?
Yes.
At what time did you arrive at the scene?
I can't give you the exact time. It was somewhere shortly after midnight, maybe 12:30. So I got a call right at around midnight.
And showing you States Exhibit 2. Is that the home that you responded to on May 15th of 2022?
Yes.
And what were the lighting conditions like that night?
It was dark. It was dark in the yard. The most of the light that we had was illuminated through what we illuminated.
Was it pitch black, though?
Not pitch black.
Could you see
Yes.
somewhat?
Yes. Yes.
Show you States Exhibit 5. You had mentioned just now in your testimony that when you arrived, there was some debris in the yard.
Yes.
Is this the debris you were referring to?
Yes.
Okay. And who taped off the yard?
That was cordoned off before I arrived.
Okay. Why would the Shelton Police Department tape off a certain section of an area? What would be the purpose of that?
Well, those items there is potential evidence. So to cordon it off, we don't want all the witnesses or the attendees to walk through it and trample the evidence.
And when you got to the scene, what was your main purpose when you got to the scene initially?
After finding out what occurred, or what the other Shelton Police Department members found out, I was trying to locate witnesses of what occurred.
Now, with regards to the items of, when you determined those to be evidentiary value potentially?
Yes.
Do you know if those items were seized from the lawn?
Yes, they were. So the night of, photographs were taken where they lied in the dark. They stayed that way till morning until Detective Nugent arrived to assist me. He took daytime photos, and after taking the daytime photos, he seized everything in the yard.
Your Honor, may I have a moment, please?
Sorry.
Yeah, I can. All right. If there's no objection, I would offer these as full exhibits at this time.
No
Subject
objection,
to
Your Honor.
questioning.
Oh, okay, so let me just take a look at them and refer to them, please. I have 21. Is that, what number is this? 22. Okay. So I'll just note for the record that States Exhibits 21 through 29 have been shown to Defense Counsel. Defense Counsel has no objection at this time to these particular exhibits being marked as evidence as for ID only, counsel, or for full?
No, Your Honor, it's full.
Well, all right. Court will take the exhibits in as full exhibits at this time, then.
Thank you.
Are they marked? Are they marked appropriately?
I believe they're marked full.
All right. So let's get them marked as full, and then we'll move forward. Thank you.
Sergeant Bango, with regards to the pictures that that were taken in this case, specifically States 5, what did you take these pictures?
I did not.
And what would be the purpose in taking pictures of the scene when you go to a scene?
Illustrate where everything was before it was seized.
And do you have information as to whether or not the items that were on the front lawn were in fact subsequently seized, subsequently to this picture being taken?
It was seized that morning.
Okay. So the pictures were taken, then it was seized?
Yes, pictures
Okay.
were taken first.
And when items of evidentiary value are seized by the Shelton Police Department, can you just speak to what is done to, I guess, establish some type of chain of custody and how you take it into evidence?
So we would first take a photograph of where it lies undisturbed. Like I said, it was protected all night. After they're photographed, they would be, you'd put gloves on and you would put them in an evidence bag and seal it. You would date and time, exactly what time you seized it, and then you would enter it into evidence at the police department.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 21. It's been marked as a full exhibit. Do you recognize this?
Yes, I do.
And what is State's 21?
That's a shirt that was seized in the yard that morning.
Okay. And obviously, this is a picture of what was seized, not at the yard. This picture wasn't taken at the yard, right?
That picture was not, no, I'm sorry. That was taken after the fact at the police department.
Okay. My approach, Your Honor.
Sorry.
Showing you State's 22. Do you recognize State's 22?
I do.
And what is State's 22?
That's the shirt that's illustrated in the picture.
And this was the shirt that was seized from the front yard of 43 Laurel Glen on May 15th of 2022?
Yes, it was.
Your Honor, I would ask if it's appropriate, if Your Honor would allow the witness to open the bag and reveal its contents.
All right, sir, you can open the bag, reveal the contents. I do see that you have gloves available for your use, so that's fine. If you feel comfortable, go right ahead.
Now, with regards to this particular piece of evidence, that was seized from the front of 43 Laurel Glen. Why was this seized? Is there anything on this piece of evidence that would indicate some type of disruption in the fabric?
Yes, there's a defect in the shirt.
Counsel, are you able to see?
Yes, Your Honor.
You can feel free to relocate if you want.
Thank you.
In the shirt in the lower left side, right here.
Can you kind of hold up?
Yeah.
So right to the left side of the shirt, looks like would be mid torso potentially.
Yes.
I'll show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 23. That's been marked as a full exhibit. Again, is this a T-shirt that was seized from the front yard of 43 Laurel Glen?
Yes, it was.
Okay. And again, was seized in the normal course of packaging, how you would package items of evidentiary value?
Yes, it was seized, photographed before it was seized and put in that bag, and then later at the police department it was photographed again.
And when things go back to the police department, how are things secured? Does anybody have access to your evidence?
No, only the evidence officer. It would go from the seizing officer, detective, right to the evidence officer into evidence.
Let me show you State's 24. It's been marked as a full exhibit. Again, with these items that were seized from the area of the yard of 43 Laurel Glen.
Yes.
And were these seized, again, in the same manner in which the previous two exhibits that we just spoke about were seized by the Shelton Police Department?
Yes.
Let me show you State's 25. These items in State's 25, items that were also seized from the front yard of 43 Laurel Glen.
Yes.
And I'm going to show you State's 26. Does this appear to be the same sweatshirt and T-shirt, just maybe flipped over from State's 25?
Yes.
In State's 27, again, the same T-shirt and sweatshirt.
Yes.
Now, I want to direct your attention to this area here where you see this, the individual who took the picture, I assume their hand is here.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see whether or not there are defects in the clothing there?
Yes.
Okay. And again, that would be, for the record, I'm pointing to what appears to be a defect in a black shirt where the individual who has a black glove on's middle finger, just north of the middle finger there. And there's also a defect on the green fabric just north of the index finger of the person's gloved hand in the picture.
All right. Court will let the record reflect same.
State's 28. That would be a picture of the same black T-shirt that was in State's 27.
Yes.
And that's just an up-close picture of the defect in that T-shirt.
Yes.
And State's 29, again, up-close picture of the green sweatshirt that was in State's 26, I believe. Again, the defect in the shirt.
Yes.
Now, when you got to the scene, you said that you were there to investigate a stabbing that had occurred. What things did you do that night when you got there?
So that night, myself and other members of the Shelton Police Department interviewed witnesses, attendees of that party.
Now, when you interviewed these witnesses, let me take you back. When you got there, what was the scene like?
It was very hectic. There was dozens of kids running around, their parents showing up looking for them. Hard to keep everybody kind of trying to keep them off the yard, trying to ascertain who saw what, who was at the party, if anyone arrived afterwards. So we did our best to try to speak with everybody there.
Did you have it when you, and you spoke to many witnesses there?
Yes.
And when you spoke to the witnesses there, did you have any indication that alcohol may have been present?
Yes, so there was a bottle, I believe it was a bottle of whiskey, if memory serves, in the yard. Also, upon speaking with a lot of the juveniles, it appeared they were drinking. I didn't field sobriety anybody, but I was more concentrated on the stabbing, but it appeared they were drinking.
And prior to you interviewing any witnesses at the scene, did the Shelton Police Department have a body-worn camera at that one time?
So this was right at the time just before the body-worn cameras was mandated by the state, and they were just coming into our department. So even though we had them, they weren't issued to all the members of the department. They were equipped in a few cars, and a few of the administration had them, where we can use them if we needed an interview or something like that.
And did you, in fact, use any body-worn camera when you interviewed witnesses in connection to this case?
In this case, yes. That night, no. This I didn't have one assigned to me at that point, so I would have to use only audio.
Okay. So how many interviews would you say that you conducted that night when you got to the scene?
Me personally, or all of us?
You personally first.
Me personally, that night, 2.
And collectively, how many of these interviews did you say you?
Dozens. Me personally.
Okay. And based on your interviews of those witnesses, what, if anything, did you do next?
So I interviewed a witness at the scene. I believe his name was Enrico Fiola. After interviewing him and his mother, we ascertained that just prior to the incident, a Honda Pilot arrived on scene with a group of St. Joe's kids. Also, after the incident, they fled in that car. So we were able to get the occupants of that car. From that point, we went and interviewed Mackenzie Trefficante, who was also an occupant in the car. After members of the police department spoke with everybody else there, and I spoke with those 2 witnesses, we developed Raul Valley as a suspect.
And is Mr. Valley in court today?
He is.
And what is he wearing?
He's wearing a blue jacket.
And can you point him out for the court, please?
I can. He's sitting right there.
Your Honor, may the record reflect the witnesses identified the defendant in this case?
Court will let the record reflect that the witnesses identified Mr. Raul Valley as the defendant. Thank you.
Now, based on your interviews and your development of a suspect and identified a suspect vehicle, what efforts did you take at the scene prior to leaving the scene?
So before we left the scene, we knew that a knife was used in the stabbing. We did look for the knife on the exterior property of 43 Laurel Glen and the road and the surrounding roads. Very difficult that night. It was dark. There was a lot of people around, and we didn't have any information exactly where the knife was at that point. But we did look with our flashlights, with our car spotlights. That carried on into the next day. Moving fast forward, we had 2 state police cadaver dogs arrive in the daylight, and they searched the entire area, the surrounding streets, the property, with members of the police department looking for the knife.
And if I direct your attention to States 1, can you indicate on States 1 where the general area you conducted the initial search for the knife you just described?
Sure. So here's the property with the front yard. We started here, but we actually looked all up and down the roads. This entire area. We also did a neighborhood canvass and spoke to all the neighbors. 1, did you see a knife? And number 2, if you do find a knife, please not touch it and call us.
Okay. Now, Your Honor, if the record can reflect, the witness has indicated on States 1 the area including all of Adams Drive, all of Laurel Glen to Farmhouse Lane, and up Farmhouse Lane in that general area.
Any dispute with that summary, Attorney Smith?
No, Your Honor, no
All right.
objection.
Court will allow the record to reflect. Thank you.
Now, after you did the initial search that night and the next day for a knife, what did you do next?
So after we did our interviews that night, the sun was coming up. I interviewed
You can have a seat.
Tom and Charlie Connery at their residence with their parents present. After that interview, we were able to develop probable cause for an arrest warrant for Raul Valley.
And was an arrest warrant applied for and signed?
It was applied for that following Monday.
And contemporaneous with the signing of the arrest warrant, were you able to locate the Honda Pilot that was the subject of your interviews?
So we were. So that night, if I can back up a few of the steps we took, after we knew who the occupants of the Pilot were, we went to Milford and we attempted to speak with Mr. Valley, but nobody was home. No one answered the door. So then we went to another occupant's residence, Tyler Da Silva. When we arrived there, we were unable to speak with him also. We reached out to the driver of the Pilot, Jack Schneider. We were unable to speak with him. So then we went back to Mr. Valley's house, and still no answer. I obtained his cell phone number, and I called him numerous times. I wasn't able to get a hold of him. So we moved on with the investigation. The next day, we sent Norwalk Police Department out to Jack Schneider's residence and asked if they can locate the car. When they arrived, it was there, so we requested that they tow it, and they towed it back to our secured Sally Port at the Shelton Police Department.
Your Honor, I have approached
Certainly.
states 30 through 33. I don't think there's an objection to them being marked as a full exhibit.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, you've had the opportunity to take a look at them, Attorney Smith?
I did, Your Honor.
All right, very good. So court will go ahead and allow in as full exhibits with no objection 30 through 33. On behalf of the state, are they properly marked as full? No ID, we'll just hand it back to Madam Clerk. Thank you.
Now, when you were able to secure the Honda Pilot that was the subject of the investigation, you said you secured it in the Sally Port?
Yes.
And do you know if pictures were taken?
Yes. Well, we applied for a search warrant first, and it was granted. Then once we executed that search warrant days later, we took photographs, the interior and exterior of the Pilot.
I'll show you States Exhibit 30 that's been marked as a full exhibit. You recognize States 30?
I do.
And what is States 30?
That's the Honda Pilot.
And what is the purpose of taking pictures of the exterior and interior of a motor vehicle that's seized?
Well, to show the condition it was in when we seized it. And
Showing you States 31. Again, what is States 31?
that's a picture of the windshield of the Pilot.
Showing the defect in the windshield.
Yes.
States 32. Picture of, what is this picture showing?
It's the interior of the Pilot.
What would be the purpose of showing, taking pictures of the interior of the pilot?
Well, the state of it was when we took it, and if we were going to seize any evidence, the state of the evidence it would be in.
This would have been taken prior to any seizure of any evidence?
Yes.
States 33, this is obviously the driver's side again, picture of the driver's side of the pilot.
Yes.
Now, once you were able to seize the pilot and apply for a search warrant and execute a search warrant, you indicated prior in your testimony that you were able to secure an arrest warrant for the defendant.
Yes.
Can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what steps that you took after that arrest warrant was signed, what steps you took to execute that warrant?
After we secured the arrest warrant, I believe it was the Tuesday of the 18th, we spent the day into the night searching for Mr. Valley. We were unable to locate him. We reached out to both his parents, but they were uncooperative in helping us locate him. It turned into the following day. We could not locate him until about 3 in the morning. He turned himself into the Shelton Police Department.
And when he turned himself into the Shelton Police Department, what was done as part of the booking process of the defendant?
Well, the standard booking process, and we took, the booking photos. But I believe it was Lieutenant McPadden who was on scene when he turned himself in. He took photos of Mr. Valley because he had some apparent injuries on him.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right. Court will let the record reflect that defense counsel was shown exhibits 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, and 43, all of which are photographs, indicated no objection. And again, that's no objection to those exhibits coming in as full exhibits, counsel.
Correct, Your Honor.
All right, court will receive into evidence 34 through 43 on behalf of the state. Thank you.
So you indicated that pictures of the defendant were taken some 72 hours after the incident when he turned himself in on May 18th?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to show you what's been marked as Exhibit 34 as a full exhibit. Do you recognize 34?
I do.
And what is 34?
That's a picture of Raoul Valley at the time of booking.
On May 18th of 2022.
Yes.
States 35. Again, what does States 35 show?
A picture of Raoul Valley on that date.
States 36.
Same. A little closer. You could see some marks up there near his forehead, light marks.
States 37.
That's the back of Raoul Valley's head. Raoul Valley's head.
Does there appear to be any injuries to the back of his head?
I can't see anything from here.
States 38. Showing you States 38. That's the back of his head again.
From here at this angle, I can't, maybe a little bit of redness under the hairline.
Okay. States 39.
That's Mr. Valley's right arm. There seems to be some light scratch marks.
States 40. Seems to be a older wound.
It does appear that that's his right hand. It appears that it looks like it's scabbed over a little bit.
States 41. Left hand.
That's his left hand, a scrape on his palm.
States 42. Any markings on his hand there?
Some light marks on his outer wrist. That's really all I can see there.
In States 43, again, this is his left hand. Any markings there?
I can't see any.
Now, once the defendant turned himself in on the 18th, pursuant to the arrest warrant that you had secured, did the investigation stop there?
No, no.
Can you please tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what, if anything, you did after that point in time?
So myself and members of Detective Bureau located every attendee to that party and the party that was connected to this at Lazy Brook, interviewed all of them, some of them multiple times. At this point, I did have a body-worn camera, so most of them were interviewed on video. Yeah, so we interviewed everybody there at that point just to strengthen the case.
And what, if anything, did you glean, not what people said, but what, if anything, did you glean from those interviews with regards to the connection to Lazy Brook Road and maybe the entire street of Laurel Glen?
Well, we learned that there was a fight that preceded this incident at Laurel Glen at 5 Lazy Brook that was predominantly a St. Joe's graduation party. A fight occurred there where members were attendees of that party got into the Honda Pilot and arrived at Laurel Glen. Well, there was 7 people in the car, including Mr. Valley. So during the investigation, we had a concurrent investigation into the Lazy Brook party. So
Did you interview anybody from the Lazy Brook party?
yes, everybody.
And subject to that interview, were you able to secure any type of video evidence from that party?
Yes. After interviewing the attendees at that party, we secured a video of a fight that occurred in the garage of that party in the driveway, I believe from Isabel Molnar. That was seized and taken into evidence. Also, during the investigation, speaking of videos, we secured a video from the fight, or from the incident that occurred in the lawn at 43 Laurel Glen. That I believe we seized from Tanner Tchaikovsky. That was seized in evidence also. Speaking of videos, we were also able to secure videos on the street from Ring cameras and dashboard cams from the night of the incident at 43 Laurel Glen. Starting with Laurel Glen, there was a Ring camera right on the driveway above the garage that would have caught the entire incident. Unfortunately, it only captured live video, not recorded. With Ring, you have to pay a service, and if you don't, you can only watch it live. You can't retrieve it. We retrieved other Ring videos from the street, right across the street from Farmhouse, but they did not yield a lot of information. They weren't very helpful. We did obtain a video from 36 Laurel Glen.
Directing your attention to State's Exhibit 1, can you please tell us on State's Exhibit 1 where 36 Laurel Glen would be located?
36, I believe, is this one here. I believe it's that one there.
And why was 36 Laurel Glen important?
So during the investigation, we learned after the Lazy Brook party, or the Lazy Brook incident, the St. Joe's kids got into the Honda Pilot and they arrived at 43 Laurel Glen, and an incident occurred in the street, or an altercation. So the Honda Pilot drove off down the road in the area of 36 at the first incident, or the first altercation between the St. Joe's students and the Shelton High students. Upon securing that video from the homeowner, I believe his name was Ken Tuttle, we were able to find the Honda Pilot pulling up from the direction of Laurel Glen and stopping right in front of his house.
And if I may approach the witness, Your Honor.
Certainly.
Showing you it's been marked as State's Exhibit 44 for identification purposes. Do you recognize State's 44?
Yes,
And what is State's 44?
that's a video of the 36 Laurel Glen Ring camera.
Is this the same videos that you seized from Ken Tuttle pursuant to this investigation?
I didn't personally, but yes, I've seen it before.
And are the videos on this, have you viewed this prior to today's testimony?
Yes, I have.
And do these videos contain 2 videos from different angles of what occurred just prior to and just after the incident that occurred at 43 Laurel Glen?
Yes, they do.
The State would offer this as a full exhibit.
Attorney Smith, any
No
word here?
objection, Your Honor.
Okay. So with no objection, court will go ahead and enter into evidence State's full, I believe you said 44?
40.
44. Thank you.
You viewed this prior to today's testimony.
I have.
Can you briefly tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, and I want to publish this with the permission of the court, but what we're about to watch, if you can.
So these are 2 angles of a rim camera, one from the door and one from another front of the house that shows directly into the street. When you watch it, you see from left to right, the Honda Pilot will pull up and stop directly in front of 36 Laurel Glen. A bunch of people get out. This first video is right around 11:40, so this is before the incident at 43 occurred. We asked the homeowner, Mr. Tuttle, if this video was in real time, and he said it was. The kids get out, and while they're standing out of the car, a bunch of people come running up from Laurel Glen. There's a interaction, an argument. You can hear people yelling, not exactly what they said. The Honda Pilot then drives away and comes back. And then there's a second video that occurred after the incident, because the timeline occurs from our 911 calls, and right when this was, it was right before midnight. where the Honda Pilot, again, comes from the same direction, 43 Laurel Glen, stops. Bunch of people get out, another car pulls up, and somebody gets out and jumps in another car, and they all flee.
With your permission, I'd like to publish to the jury.
All right, why don't you go ahead and publish States 44?
This next video is this different angle of the same video,
It's the same video, just a different angle.
and there's no sound on this video?
I don't believe so.
Faint sound. Can you pause it? And those two videos that we just watched, it was around 11:40 p.m. on May 14th of 2022.
Yes,
So that would be shortly prior to the incident that occurred down the street of 43 Laurel Glen.
yes,
Then the next two videos we're about to watch happened just after the
directly afterwards, yes.
And this last video is the different angle of the same.
I believe so.
Same footage. Again, the time on this is 11:55.
Yes. I believe our 911 call came in at about 23:58 or something close to there, so that would corroborate the time in the video.
Now, were you able to seize any videos from across the street from 43 Laurel Glen?
Yeah, at 44, we seized a video. Unfortunately, from the distance to the door to across the street, we can hear a lot of people yelling, but you really can't see what's going on. And the homeowner was actually watching what was going on right in front of the camera, so we got a better view of her back than anything else.
So the homeowner was blocking what
Yes,
was
yes.
happening? After you were able to secure video, interview your witnesses, did the investigation end there?
No, no.
What if anything, did you do next?
So, over the next several months, we were in contact with Tyler De Silva and Jack Schneider's attorneys, attempting to interview him. When we were finally able to interview them, we did. This was now November of 2022. After interviewing them, we received information, so we drove to the dead-end cul-de-sac portion of Adams Drive.
And what was your purpose in driving to the dead end of Adams Drive?
To locate the knife that was used in that incident on the 14th.
And this was some 6 months after the incident?
Approximately 6 months. We actually went there, our first time there, we went there with Jack Schneider and his father.
Let me approach the witness, Your Honor.
Sure.
Showing you it's been marked as State's Exhibit 45 for identification purposes. Do you recognize 45?
I do.
And what is 45?
This is the cul-de-sac portion of Adams Drive.
Showing you, well, is this picture accurately reflect what the cul-de-sac of Adams Drive looked like at or near the time of the incident?
No, this was 6 months later.
6 months later?
Yes,
Okay.
so
Showing you 46. Do you
Yes.
recognize 46?
I do.
And what is 46?
That's a picture of the wood line that separates Valley Road from Adams Drive.
And does this picture indicate what the cul-de-sac area of Adams Drive looked like on or around the time you went back to Adams Drive 6 months later?
No.
What does this show?
This shows a lot of the leaves are on the ground. The ground is covered where, it's November at this point, so
So this is 6 months after the incident?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
And showing you State's Exhibit 47. You recognize 47?
Yes.
And what is 47?
So this is the stream that runs in the wooded area just behind there, in between Valley Drive and the end of Adams Drive.
I would offer these as full exhibits, Your Honor.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, no objection. Court will go ahead and take into evidence dates 45, 46, and 47. Thank you. Thank you. Here you go.
Now, Sergeant Bango, directing your attention to States 1, can you just point to the area on States 1 where the cul-de-sac of Adams Drive would be, which is the subject of your current testimony? Okay.
So just
This
for
is
the record,
just
to reflect, the witness is identifying what appears to be a circular portion of Adams Drive towards the top of the photograph, slanted towards the right.
showing you 45, that's marked as a full exhibit. Again, is this the cul-de-sac that you drove to after you were able to interview Jack Snyder and Tyler De Silva?
Yes, it was.
And showing you 46. Again, is this the area, a little bit closer view of the wooded area that you were directed to investigate after those interviews?
Yes, it was.
And 47, again, this is the interior portion of that wooded area? Is that-
Yes.
Okay. Now, can you please tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, at that point in time in late November, what efforts you took to locate the knife in this area?
So that day after the two interviews, while we were with Jack Schneider, we searched for the knife that day. We learned that day it's going to be very difficult because now most of the leaves have fallen off the trees. There's a stream running in between there. So after we realized we weren't going to find it, it was late in the day at that point too, we secured some canine sniffing dogs and some metal detectors, and we went back early morning the next day, and we searched all day. until we were running out of light. We unfortunately did not locate the knife, so we went back, I believe, 3 days later and did it again with metal detectors, and we did not locate the knife. We tried to narrow down where it would be in the woods. We picked up a rock that we thought maybe would weigh similar to a knife, and we threw it as far as we can from the street at the dead-end portion, and it would reach the stream. So that wasn't good news. We talked to all the neighbors on that portion of Adams Drive. We asked them if anybody had found a knife. From May until that point, they said they hadn't. We certainly asked them, if you did, please don't touch it and call us. But unfortunately, at this point, we've not found the knife.
And after you took the efforts to attempt to locate the knife used in this case, did the investigation continue or did it end there?
No, it continued. It slowed down at that point because we've interviewed everybody from both parties, like I said, numerous times. But just a month ago, we went back with an aerial drone with the West Haven Police Department, and we took some aerial photographs and videos of the entire area. This is something that we did during the investigation too, just not with a drone. We actually went back once and we mapped the scene, the street to scale with a crime mapping system called the Pharaoh, with the approximate locations of where people were from witness statements. And I also went back with, I believe it was Charlie Connery, and we did a video reenactment of the whole scene where he said people were standing and where everybody went.
And with regards to the Pharaoh scan, you said that it's a mapping system?
Well, it's a mapping system that can map points to scale exactly the way, feet from the corner, from the driveway. As far as where people were standing, we couldn't get exact because these were coming from witness statements.
So it's the general area of where?
Yes, where the incident took place. And I believe we did the entire street from Adams all the way to Farmhouse.
And with regards to the drone footage, was that done at our request? Or was
Yes.
it- okay. I don't think there's an objection to any of this, but if counsel
Alright.
wishes me to lay an objection.
No objection to these, Your Honor. I've reviewed them already.
All right, let me just document the exhibit numbers on the record then, so we have a clear record. So with respect to State's Exhibit 48, there was no objection. I'll accept into evidence full. That appears to be a disc or CD. And then additionally, we have State's Exhibits 49, 50, and 51, which are photographs. And is that 52 there in your hand?
52, Your Honor.
And 52, which appears to be a larger exhibit of depicting scenery. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll just have Madam Clerk mark them as full before
Oh,
we
I'm
use them.
sorry.
Sorry, it's okay. Thank you.
I'll show you what's been marked as State's Exhibits 49. You recognize 49?
I do. That's an aerial photograph of 43 Laurel Glen.
And were you present when this photograph was taken?
Yes.
About what time of year was this taken?
End of May?
Of this year?
It was May 19th. I do remember the date.
2025.
2025, yes. I'm sorry, yes.
Exhibit 50, a little bit closer view of
43 Laurel Glen, yep.
51, a little bit closer view.
Yes.
of the area where the incident?
So that area there is an aerial view of where the incident took place and where we seized the items.
And I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 52. This behind you. It's just a blown-up version of the close-up of the area where the incident took place.
Yes, it is.
Now, with regards to the drone video, what was the purpose of taking this drone video?
So the reenactment we conducted with Charlie Connery had audio in it. We were talking to him, and he was explaining us what to happen. With discussions with the state's attorney, they decided they wanted a video and photographs with no audio in it, so we went and redid it there.
And what we're about to see in this drone video, does this span the entire or the portion of Laurel Glen that was the subject of 36 Laurel Glen, the video that we saw down low? Does this encompass Farmhouse Road and up and down Laurel Glen from Adams to Farmhouse?
Yes. So that house there to the right is 36.
So we paused it.
Counsel, before you move on, let me just let the record reflect that we're publishing Exhibit 48.
48, correct, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
So at 24 seconds, just for the record, this house right here that I'm pointing to there, what would that be?
That's 36 Laurel Glen.
So that is the house that's the subject of State's Exhibit 44.
Yes.
Okay.
If we could just identify which house it was. There were two houses in the video. The gray house?
So let it play.
I just want to make a clear record, Counsel.
Go back.
Thank you.
So I'm now pointing, it's 24 seconds into the video, Your Honor. It's the gray house on the right portion of State's 48. The red walkway that goes out to Laurel Glen and the driveway to the far left side of the gray house.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Do you want to start it again in Windows? And just fast forward it to 24. How is it not loading? Play it Windows. Play it from there. Yeah, you play. Yeah, you play. And that road that we're looking at now at 52 seconds would be
Farmhouse Road.
So this area here is looking back down towards 43 Laurel Glen,
Yes.
and the house to the left here, that gray house again, is 36 Laurel Glen?
Yes, it is.
Again, the house to the right here.
It's 43.
Pickup is, that would be,
43, Laurel Glen.
now, when you went out there on May 19th of 2025, were you asked by myself to do any measurements? In
Yes.
relation to where 43 Laurel Glen is in connection to 36 Laurel Glen in Farmhouse Road?
Yes. So we took a measurement. I don't memorize the exact number, from the driveway of 43 to the front doorway of 36, I believe was 640 feet, 47 maybe, roughly about 1.5 to 2 football fields.
So with regards to the front of the driveway of 43 Laurel Glen, if you were to walk down towards 36 Laurel Glen, it's about 1.5 to 2 football fields
Yes.
down the road? No?
Yes.
I just may have a moment here. I have no further questions for this witness.
Okay. Cross-examination?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I told you.
Good afternoon, Detective Bengo.
Good afternoon.
Grown a beard since the last time we saw each other.
A little bit, yeah.
Just want to go over what you've been talking with us about today. You said that you responded that evening after you received a call. You got there, you think, about 12:30 in the morning.
Approximately.
When you arrived, it was dark, and most of the illumination that you had was coming from your own lights, correct?
And I believe a light in the driveway at 43. I believe that light was working.
Okay. Was there an ambulance still on scene at that point?
I can't recall.
Were there cars that were still parked in the road?
Yes,
Parked on both sides of the road?
I believe so.
The cordoned off areas which you showed us before in those photographs, that included some cars that had been parked in the driveway, correct?
I believe so.
However, the cars that were in the road, that area had not been cordoned off. Is that fair to say?
Fair to say.
By the time you got there, you didn't know if folks that were still on scene had arrived afterwards, correct?
No, I did not.
You didn't know who might have left before you arrived. Is that fair to say?
At that point, no.
So there wasn't anything being done at that point to prevent people from leaving. Is that fair to say?
No. The patrolmen were instructed not to let people leave until we spoke with them. We did have people show up, mostly parents, when they heard what was happening. But no, if someone just says, I want to leave, we wouldn't let them leave until we spoke with them, or at least get their information.
But is it fair to say that you didn't have any ability to keep track of everybody that was on that scene and make sure that nobody leaked out?
It's very possible someone could leak out. It's impossible for how many officers we had there and how many attendees were there.
And roughly, or if you know specifically, how many attendees did you ultimately determine were at that party?
I don't have the exact number.
Was it more than 30?
Yes.
Was it more than 40?
I don't recall. I don't have that number in my head. We have it, but I don't recall the number.
Could it have been as many as 75 to 100?
I don't believe so.
Something less than that, but
I
maybe
would,
more
yes.
than 40?
Yes.
A large group, fair to say?
Yes, very large group.
And other than the parents that started to arrive while you were on scene, how many adults were there present? Not police officers.
When the incident occurred or when I got there?
When you got there?
When I got there, there were a couple parents there, but they arrived after the incident, namely Enrico Fiola's mom, because I interviewed him in the presence of her. I was told there were some other parents there, too. I'm not sure exactly which ones.
You learned at the time of the party, however, that there were almost no adults present. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
No parents that were there, at least, correct?
Yes.
There were some juveniles you've described, correct?
Yes.
However, there were also some attendees who were over the age of 18, were there not?
Yes.
And you mentioned to us the conditions that night. You described that it was dark. Was it also rainy?
I don't recall.
Misty?
It could have been misty.
Do you remember whether or not the grass was wet?
I do not.
Was the roadway damp?
Yes.
Did you have your wipers on while you were driving to the scene?
I don't recall. It was 3 years ago.
I understand. And you described to us that before you arrived, the scene had already been cordoned off in order
Yes.
to secure it, correct?
Yes.
But again, the only areas that were cordoned off that you know of are those areas that were secured by the yellow tape that we've seen in those photos.
Yes.
And that did not extend down the length of the video that you just showed us, correct?
No.
Really just encompassed the driveway and the area from the front corner of that parking area that's on the exhibit behind you down to about where that red bush is. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Didn't extend across the street to the other side of Laurel Glen,
No.
and didn't extend down to 36 Laurel Glen either, did it?
No.
And didn't encompass anything on Farmhouse Lane or Adams. Is that fair to say?
No.
So the only area that was secured and cordoned off was the parking area of 43 Laurel Glen and the front grassy area to the right of the parking of the driveway. Is that fair to say?
Yes. That other info we didn't get till later.
And you said that was secured throughout the night.
Yes.
Do you know who secured that area throughout the night?
The officer that secured it, I don't. I do know who applied for the search and seizure warrant and who responded to execute it. The officer that was stationed there, I do not know offhand.
And then you were shown a series of exhibits that were admitted as full without objection. And the first of those was exhibit number 21, and that was a Pass the Chips shirt photograph. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And do you know now who was wearing that Pass the Chips shirt?
Yes.
And who was that?
James McGrath.
Was that the only piece of clothing that you secured that you believe belonged to Mr. McGrath?
I personally didn't secure anything. I was interviewing why another detective did it all. But there was other items secured.
The next photograph I want to ask you about is exhibit number 23. That was the Marble Ducks shirt that we saw a photograph of. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And do you know now who was wearing that shirt at the time on May 14th?
Yes. Faison Teal. I don't believe he was wearing it. I believe he had it on his person. I believe he was shirtless.
He was shirtless.
I believe so.
There was also a photo, number 24, exhibit 24, photo of a shirt and a shoe. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And do you know now who was wearing that shirt and shoe?
Is that a dark blue shirt? Dark blue shirt?
Dark blue shirt, yes, sir.
I believe that was Thomas Connery.
Also his shoe?
Yes.
White shoe. And then we saw a photo of a green sweatshirt and a blue shirt, a couple of different images of that same pairing there. Do you know who was wearing that?
Yes, that was Ryan Hines.
And then you told us that on this particular evening, it had not yet become the policy of the Shelton Police Department to have body-worn cameras issued to everybody that was on duty. Is that correct?
I believe it was the policy at the time. It just wasn't implemented until June 1st.
Why would there be such a policy, but it wasn't implemented until
Well,
June 1st?
The state came out with a mandate pursuant to the Police Accountability Act. So that was the date that we had to have it. We actually came in early with the body-worn cameras before that, but it was still in the process with Axon getting everybody equipped.
So you could have worn them that evening,
No.
but you didn't have to.
I
is
didn't.
that-
No. I didn't have one.
You didn't
So the
have-
following day, when I did have one, I was able to meet with Lieutenant Kozlowski, who is the administrator of that program, and he had one, but not everybody had one. We only had a couple throughout the department. He had one, and he gave me his when I went to the Connery's house to use the body-worn cameras during that interview.
So was it department policy that you should have had one?
Not
or
not
time?
at that date. No, it was not the policy.
Okay. I thought you just told us that
It was
policy.
no, the policy was set in place. I believe it was June 1st, 2022, that we had to have it.
But before that, could you have chosen to
No.
wear one?
No, because I didn't have one. I wasn't issued
Who
one.
would have issued those?
Lieutenant Kozlowski.
Could you have gone to Lieutenant Kozlowski and asked for one?
Not that night. I was coming from my house at midnight.
You mentioned that you arrived on scene and started interviewing witnesses, and that there were dozens of kids running around and parents showing up, correct? You were asked about whether or not there was any sign of any alcohol having been at this party. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And you told us that there was maybe one bottle of whiskey in the yard,
I do remember seeing a bottle of whiskey.
and that was the only indication that you had that there was drinking going on at this party?
There wasn't alcohol cans all over the street or anything like that. There was alcohol in the house, but it's hard to differentiate what the parents own or where the kids were drinking it. No one had alcohol in their hands at that time.
And that was about a half an hour to 40 minutes after the initial call came in at 11:54.
Maybe a little bit more at that point, after everything settled down.
So there was at least a bottle of whiskey in the yard.
Yes.
And then you say there was other alcohol that was in the house, but that was hard to determine who that belonged to exactly.
Yes.
And what was the other alcohol that you found in the house?
I don't recall.
Was there a lot of evidence of alcohol in the house?
I don't recall. You got to remember the focus was the stabbing that occurred, not alcohol by minors at that point.
Because that wouldn't be pertinent to trying to understand.
It
what had
would,
gone
and I
on.
do believe there are photographs of the interior of the house. I just didn't take them.
Did you see those photographs?
I don't recall.
And do you recall whether or not you ever saw evidence of large piles of Solo cups or any other indication that there was in fact a large amount of drinking going on at this unsupervised party?
I do not recall a large pile of Solo cups.
Do you recall any evidence of a large amount of drinking going on?
People's actions, the way they were talking to me, that was probably my biggest indicator.
And what were those actions that indicated that to
You
you?
could tell people are slurring their words. Their eyes are a little glossy. Just my training experience, I could tell someone's been drinking, especially a juvenile. But that would be my biggest. Like I said, I wasn't hunting for the underage drinking at that point because I had so much going on with the witnesses and the stabbing.
Did you see any evidence that, or any indication that evidence of drinking had been cleaned up or that there was some attempt to shield you from seeing that?
I did not.
You say that night you interviewed two people, correct?
Yes.
And one of those was Enrico Fiola.
Yes.
And the other one, who was that again?
Mackenzie Trafficanti.
And that you later interviewed Tom and Charlie Connery, correct?
Yes.
And what was the date of the interviews with Tom and Charlie Connery, if you recall?
So it was the same day. It was just late morning, early afternoon.
So the 15th?
Yes.
And at that point, when you interviewed, so just want to make sure I understand this. So as of the morning of May 15th, when you went to interview Tom and Charlie Connery, you'd only also interviewed Enrico and Mackenzie.
A lot of people were interviewed. Me personally, who I interviewed, yes, those two.
And at that point, when you went to interview Tom and Charlie Connery, had you learned of any cell phone videos that had been taken of the incident
At that point,
at that point?
I don't believe so, or I don't recall. I believe that was later on.
So when you interviewed Enrico Fiola, you didn't learn of any videos that had been made. When you interviewed Mackenzie Trafficanti, you didn't learn of any interviews, videos that had been made.
No.
When you interviewed Tom and Charlie Connery, you didn't learn that any cell phone videos had been taken.
No. Like I said, there were a lot of other people interviewed by other members of the police department. That information came into play with me also.
And as of the 15th, you hadn't been given any information based on any of the other interviews done by other members of your department that there was a cell phone video of this event?
I don't believe so.
So at the time that you applied for the arrest warrant for Mr. Valley, was that on the 15th?
I believe it was the 16th.
On the 16th,
Is that the Monday? I'm pretty sure.
I believe that would be the Monday.
Yeah.
At that point, when you applied for the arrest warrant for Mr. Valley, you hadn't learned of any cell phone videos at that point. Is that fair to say?
At that point, no.
Now, you were shown some photographs of the Honda Pilot.
Attorney Smith, let me know when there's a good time to take the afternoon break. Okay, thank you.
I'm going to show you those exhibits again, Detective Bango. So this is exhibit number 30. Everybody see that? And Detective Bango, you were describing for us, that is the Honda Pilot, correct?
Yes.
And that Honda Pilot belongs to a Mr. Jack Snyder, correct?
Yes.
And in that picture of the Honda Pilot, and I'm just going to move over here so that I can actually see it as well, I believe that Attorney Durso noted a defect in the windshield. Do you recall that?
Yes.
It is your understanding that that defect in the windshield, was that there prior to the incident on May 14th into the morning of May 15th?
From the information we
I don't know how you'd have that knowledge.
If he knows, it's fine.
Well, I don't know through interviews what people told me.
I'm going to show you what has been marked as Exhibit 31. And you'd agree that's a close-up of the same windshield we were just looking at?
Yes.
Same defect.
Yes.
Then I'm going to show you what is Exhibit 32, and that is the interior of the vehicle, looking at it from the passenger side, the front passenger side, correct?
Yes.